People have this weird illusion that in sales, you need to be liked for people to buy from you. They think, oh, if they like me, they'll buy from me. Sales is a rapport. Sales is a relationship business, and it's not. People don't need to like you. They need to trust you. The only real objections are the ones that they reveal to you in discovery ahead of time. Those are real objections. If I clear that in discovery and you give me an objection at the end of the call, I will burn that call to the ground before I book a follow-up call with you just to have you no-show and waste more time on my calendar. Some people come to me and sales is dialed, but they lack in mindset, so they self-sabotage their own calls. Some people come to me and they have no qualifications, no reminder emails, like they don't have any CRMs, any systems. So it's a more of a complete transformation and overhaul. But that's why my program, it's so customized based on who I'm working with, right? If their close rate is already high, I mean, if we take it from 60 to like 70, is that good? Yeah, but there's probably bigger needles we can move. Maybe your close rate is high because your price is too low. Dude. Like I was building a house that I couldn't afford. I was in the middle of a pretty bad divorce. Like I was living in a tiny studio apartment that was like 300 square feet that it was so tiny, waiting for my house to get done being built. I had nothing but time, and I literally had to. I had to close on the house like in like a couple months from now, like 5-6 months from now. So I just went crazy, dude. I started going through my phone. I started hitting up old people I had closed before that I knew, my network, and just asked for referrals, tripled down on client success. And then we ended up scaling up that company from 300K to 1.7 million a month over the next 2.5 years. We're on the Inc. 5000, fastest growing privately owned companies in America.
This week, we've got Austin Medlin in town, special guest from Tampa, Florida. Austin, thanks for coming on.
Of course, thanks for the invite.
So Austin is a sales guy, obviously now a business owner. He's done really well at both of those things. And he's a really interesting guest that I wanted to bring on to kind of provide some perspective for you guys. Awesome, man. Like you've crushed it in sales. I actually don't know like your full story, but I know what you're up to right now. I see kind of what you're doing. You're running this like high cash flow, lean business around sales. So like you're actively practicing sales and then you're actively being a business owner, which is cool. For the people that might not know you yet, like what are you doing? I know closesales.com, but like, can you explain that to the listeners?
Yeah. So as of right now, I'm teaching basically 2 verticals. The first would be online high ticket coaches, fitness coach, life coach, health coach, whatever, teaching them how to get better at sales so they can sell their own product and service better. Right? Because everybody has to figure out how to build an offer. That's not that hard. It takes like 30 minutes. Then people figure out the marketing, whether writing books, speaking on podcasts, running paid ads, webinars, funnels, whatever. But once they figure out the marketing, if they don't know how to close the sales, then they effectively make $0. And a lot of people get pretty frustrated. So I created a program after I took 7,000 high ticket sales calls, created a program teaching those business owners how to get better at sales so they can raise their prices, raise their close rate, scale their company. Then at the same time, now that I've worked with 500 coaches and helped them make tens of millions of dollars, they all need sales reps because the kind of the next phase, right, is, oh, I need a sales team. I have been doing this for 6 years. So I kind of have people come across my desk, people in my network, but it's not a reliable and predictable stream of high value reps that I feel confident enough to place with them. So now I have called a B2C offer, taking people who are in sales in parallel industries, think roofing, life insurance, solar, tech, software, stuff like that, helping them pivot their current skill set into the world of remote high ticket and then teaching them just how to transfer over. And then now I'll have high value reps that I can put my name on, kind of my brand, and then give to my B2B clients.
Makes sense. I've been seeing your ads for the new thing for the sales reps, and you're saying something along the lines of like on your bad months, you're making like 20, 30 as a sales rep, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your time? I don't know how long you were doing like the high ticket closing yourself for. 5 years. On your bad months, it was 20, 30. On your good months, it was a lot more than that. Can you like tell us about kind of how you got into that and then how you progressed through? Was it always 20, 30 as a bad month? Like, tell us about that a little.
Yeah. I mean, in the very beginning, dude, I got wrecked. Like I had this like overarching confidence of like, oh, I've been a business owner before. I've been an entrepreneur. How hard could this be? Kind of always considered myself like a sales guy. Walked into the world of remote high ticket and just got slaughtered. Like my first month, I had a 12% close rate, closed $40,000 in deals, made $4,000 in commissions, almost quit. And before I could quit, almost got fired. And I was like, okay, this just isn't for me. But I realized, I was like, but there's all these other people on this team who are making 10, 15, 20,000 in a month. Like if they have figured it out and they can do it, I can do it too. So my CEO, who I actually have lunch with on Sunday, he lives here. He sits down with me and he's like, dude, like this isn't working. Like we're a high caliber team. Like we need killers. And I was like, and I sold him. I was like, give me one more month. I learn quick. Like just give me one more month and I will figure it out. And that's exactly what happened. So I did 40 grand my first month, 110 my second month, and then 212 my third month as a closer. So when I did 212, that was 20,000 in commissions. And then from there, pretty much never made less than 20K a month in commissions after being in the industry for 3 months.
What kind of offer were you selling at that time?
That was a $9,800 offer teaching YouTube ads to business owners. The first month there, we were at 300K, and the CEO gets on the Zoom meeting with the team, and he's like, "Good job, guys. We just did 300K." My brain like melted. I was like, dude, this kid's 24. Did he just say $300,000 in cash in a month? And then we ended up scaling up that company from 300K to 1.7 million a month over the next 2.5 years. We're on the Inc. 5000, fastest growing privately owned companies in America, in the top 100. Both years in a row. Became the number one closer, like 9 out of 10 months. I was closing the most in deals, like doing all the things. Became the head of sales there just for a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like a 2.5 year run that I took thousands of calls, made a ton of money. And that's really where I mastered the art of sales. And I owe that CEO a lot. Shout out to Alaric, because he was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads to put people on my calendar for me to effectively practice and try things and like get better at sales. Definitely burned a lot of leads in the process, figuring it out, but I made him a lot of money in the long run for sure.
You said you were, before the high ticket stuff, you had some business experience, some sales experience. What were you doing before you got into high ticket?
I mean, dude, I was one of those guys that tried everything. I was selling candy in high school. I was trying to do door to door. Hey, can I cut your grass? Like, when I was in middle school, like I'd always tried stuff. I would say that my big pivot was when I was 18. I just finished up my first semester in college and I got introduced to the world of network marketing. Most people are super skeptical. I had zero skepticism. I was like, because I lived in Orlando at the time, and the Amway Center was the Orlando Magic, like the Amway Center. And that's a network marketing company, and they're doing billions of dollars. And I was like, okay, if this industry wasn't legit, like they wouldn't have their name on an NBA team's arena. I think they owned the team, or part owner owned the arena or something. And so I did network marketing. Ended up building that for about 1.5 years and built a team of 1,500 people in 10 different countries, started speaking on stages. That's where I got into books. Like I was 18, went out to Tony Robbins, and just really immersed myself in the world of public speaking, sales, one-to-one, one-to-many, reading books, listening to podcasts, like doing all the things. And that's really where things started to get good.
I've seen a lot of your content. You say like, you basically had this come up, right? Like you were in debt, you were overweight, you were unhappy, and then now you're doing pretty well. How does that line up with like the network marketing stuff? And then I'm curious, like what made you get out of network marketing, and then what made you decide that the high ticket space was where you wanted to go?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a gap there, right? And what happened was I was doing network marketing for 1.5 years. And at that time, the company, after we built it up, they got sued by the FTC. Right? They're like, oh, you guys are a pyramid scheme. It's not a legit business model. And still to this date, I believe they are the only network marketing company to ever go to court with the FTC and win. However, the damage that it did to the reputation was enough for the company to kind of fall apart. People start to jump ship and go other places. And it was really unfortunate because I was dating a girl in college at that time and she got hit by a car. And she was in the hospital in a coma for 10 days. And within those 10 days is right when like the lawsuits and everything were happening. And at the end of those 10 days, unfortunately, she ended up passing away. And so within 10 days, my whole life changed because I had this business where I was doing pretty well, like 1,000 a week, 1,500 a week, $2,000 a week. I'm 18, 19 years old in college. Yeah. Like dude, I thought I was rich. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my mom was paying all my bills in college. I was like, dude, I'm rich. Like no one talked to me. I'm the man. And in those 10 days, my income went to zero and my girlfriend passed away. And I was kind of like, well, what do I do now? Because network marketing made me kind of mentally unemployable. I knew I was going to go the entrepreneurial route, but I didn't know what vehicle to get into. Started working at a bar because it didn't feel like a job. It was just kind of fun, kept me busy, made pretty good money. And the bar just got old after about 1 year. And I called my dad and I was like, hey, I need a job. And he owned a landscape and construction company at the time. And he's like, well, look, like you're in Orlando, I'm in Tampa, but you could do some miscellaneous stuff for me. And he just started giving me like miscellaneous tasks, just paying me by the hour. I was tracking my time just to like keep busy. But because I had that entrepreneurial gene, when I was inside of QuickBooks, I would see the same people every month making a payment, $100 or $1,000 or $500, whatever their monthly payment was to get their grass cut. And after a couple months of seeing this, I called him and I was like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. Like we live in Florida. Nobody wants to shop for a landscaper. And if you just do a good job, the only reason somebody would fire you is if they move or they die. And he's like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, I'll come work for you full time and I'll scale this company. And he's like, great. So I ended up taking over the landscape and maintenance half of the business while he did the construction. And we ramped that from 300,000 to multiple seven figures in 3 years. And that was cool. I had 32 employees, 10 trucks, 600 clients we were cutting on a weekly basis. That's really where I got into more of like leadership, understanding different personality types. But dude, it's hard work. We're cutting grass. I always kept cutting it myself, but it was really tough.
Yeah, like managing teams, right?
Really tough. Crews and teams and no-shows, people not showing up to work. And then the profit margins were so bad. Like, dude, there was this time where this guy was brand new, first day on the job. He got tired of weed eating all day. He's like, dude, I want to ride a mower. I'm tired of walking. And the crew leader's like, fine, take the mower. He's driving down at the Veterans Ford dealership in Tampa, like riding down the street, cutting, and he needs to turn around to go back. And he doesn't check behind him and gets clipped by a public semi-truck, runs over the front half of the mower, throws him. That was like 20 or 30 grand we had to pay out to workman's comp. The mower was like $6,000 to fix. It was brand new. There's our profit for the next couple months. You know what I mean? But got out of that just because I went to Mexico and all these people were living life on the beach on a Wednesday, having a blast. And I'm like stressed on FaceTime. Like, no, the palm tree goes over there, twist it, turn it, like trying to keep the company afloat. And I flew back Sunday, walked in Monday morning, 6 a.m. And I told my dad, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And didn't even give him 2 weeks. Feel kind of bad about that all these years later. And I just quit. I left there, went straight to Verizon, got a new phone and number because my number was hooked up to all the trucks and the ads and everything. And then didn't know what to do. But I was crazy ambitious. And my ex at the time was a fitness coach. And she's like, what if we started a business coaching program? And I was like, okay, like I understand business and you understand coaching. We did that for a little bit. We didn't really want to work together business wise. And she had suggested, why don't you be a remote closer, like a high ticket closer? And I was like, what are we closing? Like boats, houses, cars? Like, what's a high ticket closer? She's like, no, there's all these other companies that need sales reps. And that's what kind of got me into the world. My mentor at the time partnered me up with a staffing and recruiting agency. And then they introduced me to the first company I ever worked at.
So through a staffing company is how you got on with the YouTube coaching company.
Never would have got that opportunity without them.
When you joined, you said they were at about 300 a month.
They had just done a record-breaking 300K, and that was in June of 2020 is when I started.
What did the sales team look like when you joined?
It was the head of sales, David. I love that guy. Shout out to him. It was David, Adam, Joseph. So 3 on the sales side. I was the 4th rep, and then there was a bunch of setters.
Cool. So then you got into that. You worked there for a year and a half.
2.5 there, yeah.
2.5. Scaled to, you said 1.8 a
1.7,
month?
yeah.
1.7? That's a lot, man. Especially for that kind of offer.
We're cooking, bro.
And then did you end up like closing somewhere else after that?
Yeah, what happened was like, I mean, dude, if you work somewhere, like sometimes priority shift, alignment shifts, like, without getting into it, shit hit the fan, I bounced out of there. And there was a guy that I had closed on that offer for our higher level 20K. We stayed in touch and I kind of asked him for a favor, like, hey, I have a prospect that will not buy without talking to someone. And I've handled that objection a million times, but this guy was like, look, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. I want to speak to one person. So I thought of this guy, John, and I called him and I was like, dude, could you do me a favor? He's like, no problem. Here's my calendar link. Super great guy. He talks to this guy and then he buys. So I called John back. I'm like, hey man, thank you so much. And he goes, now that I did you a favor, you need to do me a favor. And I was like, what? He's like, the way that you closed me, I've never experienced sales like that before. Can you get on a call with me and teach me your sales process? And I was like, okay, sure. We do the call. At the end of it, he goes, how much to hire you? And I was like, dude, like, I don't want them to think I'm taking their clients. Like that, he's like, dude, like, I have to hire you. I will pay you $5,000 right now. He just like basically sold me on selling him. And I was like, all right, dude, I guess I'll start like a PayPal account, like take your money. I didn't have a Stripe or have a business. And we worked together, did very well. And then when I had left that company, I called him and I was like, hey man, I can actually come work for you full time. And I ended up coming in as almost a growth operator. I raised the prices. I closed all the calls. I built the team, built the CRMs, the systems, the automations, like basically built everything. We went from 25K a month to 250,000 a month in cash in 10 months. And then at that time, his friend saw him double his price and 10x his business. And she's like, how did you do that? He's like, I just hired this guy. So then he plugged me in with her. I probably still have the email thread if I look back long enough. Started doing some side consulting with her. And then when I left him, I called her, same conversation. Hey, I can come work for you full time. And I took her from 100,000 a month to 550,000 a month in 14 months.
So this from today, what we're talking about right now is like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Cause I left her November of 23. Okay. So 14 months before that would be like, mid 2022 is when I started, wrote it out to the end of 2023. And then I started closesales.com.
Did you buy the domain? So I don't think we got it on camera. Closesales.com, fire domain. $1,800. Did you buy that before you started, or did you start and then buy it?
So I bought it before I started, but I saw the writing on the wall with this girl and I knew that I wasn't going to be there much longer. And I was like, this would be the third company I've worked for. I'm not going to a fourth. I'll just start my own thing and help way more people have more autonomy, make more money. So I was like, I'm going to start a sales coaching program for coaches, because her and I launched a sales coaching offer for her clients, because she was teaching marketing to career coaches. All of these career coaches were getting all these leads and they were terrible at sales. So we launched a $6,000 program and enrolled like 30 or 40 people into it. So I had already been doing this with like coaches, and I was like, this makes sense. These people are getting crazy results. I'll just start my own thing. And it was a 2-week period where I bought the domain, built out the offer, built out and recorded all of the modules, set up all the tech. And then right when everything was done, we split. And then I already had everything done. Domain was fired, email was set up, like we were ready to rock and roll. And then it was just about enrolling people into it.
Did you start enrolling people into it at first? Was it paid ads? Was it network? What'd you do?
Yeah, I got kind of lucky. She never shut down my old email. And so because we had that offer, a lot of people knew about it. And because she didn't turn off my email, there were a couple people that emailed me like, hey, I'm ready to start the program. Hey, can I hire you? And then I would just email them off my closedsales.com email. Hey, it's Austin. I've actually left. I've started my own thing. So those were like 3, 4, 5 enrollments came from that.
Nice.
I just started hammering the phones, dude. Like I was building a house that I couldn't afford. I was in the middle of a pretty bad divorce. Like I was living in a tiny studio apartment that was like 300 square feet that it was so tiny, waiting for my house to get done being built. I had nothing but time, and I literally had to. I had to close on the house like in like a couple months from now, like 5, 6 months from now. So I just went crazy, dude. I started going through my phone. I started hitting up old people I had closed before that I knew, my network, and just asked for referrals, triple down on client success. I didn't start running paid ads until February of 24. And still to this date, the paid ads have never really been scalable and profitable and like worked for me.
It's hard with the sales offer, man. Like I run paid ads for a similar thing. It's in the sales space, but it's different in a lot of ways. And same thing. Obviously there's people who make it work, but like there's kind of that threshold that you have to ride of like going mass market and having like more of an aggressive process to squeeze as much cash as you can out of it, or taking the more chilled, laid back approach, showing people that you actually know what you're talking about and letting them come to you, which I feel like you're more like that. Like you'll show people, you'll get on calls with them, but it's just a different dynamic when you're like objection handling them into working with you like as hard as you possibly can, versus them being like, oh, I know you're the guy, like I want to come work with you, you know?
I call that demonstration marketing. Like if you can just demonstrate that you're not an idiot. Dude, I have a 48-minute YouTube video that breaks down my entire sales methodology for free, pinned on my YouTube channel, top to bottom, A to Z. And there's people who have watched that video. They've sent me a message months later, like, dude, I know you don't know who I am. Found your video on YouTube, tripled my close rate. I just made $100,000 this month. You changed my life. Thank you. It's just free on YouTube.
For any of you guys watching that run a business, especially in this space, man, if you're not doing YouTube and you're not doing email, I don't know how much you do with email.
Zero.
It's money on the table. Those are like the best platforms, bro. Like email's the hardest to grow, but like if you can grow it, it's like, it's similar to YouTube. It's like you can show that long form competency, and then, you know, when you send an email, 50% open rate. When you post an Instagram story, 10% of your followers see it, you know? Yeah. YouTube is similar, more closer to email, but you can actually be discovered on YouTube, which I'm sure you are at this point.
Engine. Like that's why we crushed that offer, because we were educating the marketplace for the first time all those years ago that YouTube is not social media. It's the world's second largest search engine, owned by Google. So your content will live there forever, and people will always discover it as long as you're optimizing the titles, thumbnails, SEO, stuff like that.
Dude, if I know some people in this space, in the sales training space, and they had one, 2 or 3 YouTube videos that attribute to like $1 million of revenue in their coaching program.
Client who's here in town, and he has a different link in every YouTube video to book a call, like with the bit.ly links and stuff like that, so he can track where they're coming from. He's enrolling people every week that are finding videos from a year ago, just organically through YouTube, and he's enrolling them as paid clients.
I wanted to ask you, V1 of closed sales, how much were you charging, and what was the actual offer you were delivering?
Yeah, so the actual offer has pretty much been the same the whole time, because I've been doing it for so long. Like I knew what offer to build that was pretty scalable, but it's always been a handful of one-on-ones. Like I think it started as 5, and then now it's at 4 because people weren't using the 5th one because we were getting everything done. So 4 one-on-ones with me, 8-week program, Slack community to share wins and ask questions, and then 2 years access to the backend modules, which is everything I know over the past 6 years, condensed in some really solid modules. And then it started with 1 group call a week. As we scaled, now it's at 2. And that's it. I think V1, we charged $7,000. Did that for a very short amount of time because I knew it was worth way more. Shortly after that, went to 9, hung out at 9 for like 3 days, went to 9,800. And then now it's either 3 payments of 5K or a one-time investment of 12. So it's discounted a little bit if it's paid in full. And still to this day, like I had a guy pay me 30 grand a couple months ago, and like every other day he's like, dude, you're stupid, raise your price. Like no matter what amount of money people pay me for, whether it's a retreat, whether it's the lower level program, which when I say lower level just means they don't have a sales team, or my higher level 30K program when they have a sales team, everyone says the same thing. Like, dude, raise your price, you're stupid.
What is it that you can do aside from like having awesome course material? What is it that you can do in 4 calls to dramatically improve close rate and like all the sales metrics for them where they say raise your price?
Yeah, so the modules are really good because it lays the foundation. It teaches them my methodology. It teaches them everything I know. It has my live sales calls in it. It has me doing call reviews for other clients. Like it's really dialed. I've spent a ton of time. It took me 100 hours to film V2 of the modules. It took me 50 hours to do V1. Then I just re-recorded everything a couple months ago. I did 100 hours in 10 days on top of the current client work. Like I didn't sleep a week and a half. So that lays a really good foundation, but because what I teach is highly customized around their personality type and their ideal client and the most common objections that they give, once they have the foundation, we just need to customize the script. Really, it's a framework because word for words aren't going to work. So we customize the framework on one call. And then the rest of the calls are really just straight call review. So we'll customize the framework. They'll go apply it. And then we'll watch a sales call back in real time. And I'm like, hey, you nailed these sections. Do you see where you got this objection and discovery and you missed it? And I'm like, let me guess. At the end of this call, this is word for word what they're going to tell you. I'm like, how'd you know that? I'm like, well, they just told it to you. You just missed it. So I'm instantly raising their level of awareness that they have in real time when they go to their next call later that day. So it collapses time just to review it, implement it, review another call, implement it. Like we do that 2-3 times. I mean, if they don't got it after that, they
might struggle. Hire a closer in the framework. Cause I agree with you. Like not a huge fan of scripts. You should learn frameworks because frameworks don't, crumble when you get hit with a curveball, but with your framework that you teach to people, like, is there anything in there that is just like never been heard before? Like most people are so shocked by it, or is it kind of just like really doing the basics well? Like what is really the difference maker with your framework?
The biggest difference maker is people gauge your level of intelligence based on the quality of the questions that you ask, not the statements that you make. So 99% of sales reps, coaches in any industry, but especially in the online world, they get on a call, they're super friendly, they build a bunch of rapport. They ask 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 questions. I can help you 100%. I help Stacy. She's just like you. I can change your life. Let me word vomit my program onto you. And they don't spend enough time asking deep, intelligent questions. And so what happens in the world of sales is we need 2 things to be in alignment for them to buy on that call. We need to align their head and their heart. The head is the logical piece. The heart is the emotional piece. The head is easy to align with your pitch. Hey, you're struggling with this. Here's how we're going to fix it. Here's my process. It's very logical. It makes a lot of sense. Most people are good at that. What they're not doing is spending enough time in discovery to ask deep, intelligent questions to align the heart. Because if you just jump into the pitch, they don't feel like you actually care about them. That's the equivalent of a doctor walking in the room. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my head hurts. They poke it. They're like, yeah, scale 1 to 10. Does that hurt? And they're like, yeah, that's a 10. Yep, you need brain surgery. It's like, dude, time out. Like, I don't care how many white coats you have, how many clinics you own, how many brain surgeries you've done. I'm going to go get a second opinion. I just don't trust the diagnosis because you haven't spent enough time truly and deeply understanding my problem at the highest level. So you don't do the brain surgery with him, and you may need brain surgery, but you're going to go get it with someone else that meticulously spends time to ask you questions, and then you believe their diagnosis. In discovery, if you can spend 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes just doing question, answer, no relating, no talking about you, no talking about other people, just simply relating or not relating, simply asking them questions to understand them at the deepest level. Now they actually believe your pitch. They're emotionally bought in. You align the logic piece with the pitch. They almost always buy with little to no objections.
Did you say 20, 30 minutes?
I'll spend as long as I have to, but it's usually like, if you have a super short direct prospect, 12 to 15 minutes, most prospects are going to be 15 to 20, 25 minutes. Yeah.
For you, you've taken 7,000 sales calls. What is the ideal time for a high ticket sales call, like length?
I mean, 1 hour top to bottom. If you try and cram it, you short your discovery, which in my opinion is the most important piece of a sales call, or your pitch is like so fast, they don't really understand what they're buying. You don't save yourself enough time for objection handling, collecting a credit card, onboarding them, and then getting on to the next call. You really need an hour.
No, I agree with that. Ever ran a 2-call process?
Sure.
like intentionally?
Yeah. Not for this offer. I just qualify harder up front. But if you're on like a B2C offer, or if there's a lot of people with like spouses in your industry, your niche, whatever you're selling, like if there's older people, a lot of them are married, more decision makers, that's always good. So you can kind of just vet them on the triage call, the first call. And then you can obviously book a second call with all the decision makers. If you have like a really bad no-show rate, if you're on like a super B2C biz op type offer, like, oh, we teach Amazon or teach you how to flip cars, it's like very like make money type offer. If the no-show rate is pretty high, makes more sense to do a 2 call. So if they don't show up, you're only losing 20 minutes rather than an hour on a full slot. So there's instances where I think that makes a lot of sense.
When you're speaking to the heart and trying to sell the heart, how does that change for someone who, let's say they are a mindset coach versus someone who is selling a like hard financially backed ROI type of offer?
Either way, you got to ask them questions. Like even when you speak to the heart, the thing is like, I don't even speak to the heart. I just ask questions that allow them to speak to their own heart. Does that make sense? So even if it's, let's say, super hard ROI, like financially backed offer, it's like, okay, but like, why is that important? Why do you need more money? How much money do you currently make? What are you currently doing to invest? Well, if you keep doing that, do you think you'll reach whatever their financial goal is? Yeah, you sound really confident. Why do you seem so confident? Because from where I sit, it doesn't look like what you're currently doing is going to add up to get you to where you want to go. So we're just helping them see what they need by asking strategic questions.
You still take all your own sales calls? Or do you have a team?
On the B2B side.
You have a closer in now?
2 on the B2C side.
Nice.
Yeah. And they do the majority of the coaching as well because I've been trained in my methodology for so long.
Are they people who came through your program at one point?
One did. One's my older brother.
Nice.
So I just took him out of corporate America after 8 years. I'm paying him 6 figures. Like, and I posted a reel about this yesterday.
I saw it, yeah.
That to me is the flex. Like, yes, I have a McLaren. Yes, cool watch, whatever. But like, dude, like that stuff gets so old, so shallow. It's like, but taking your brother out of corporate America and putting him at home to spend time with his wife and 2 kids, make more money now and have way more freedom and happiness. Like that to me doesn't get old.
Because it's May right now. We met in Tampa in October. We were just talking about this before. At the time, you're doing 6 figures per month with your just the B2B. The B2C didn't exist yet. And you're running like a 90% profit margin, but you're working crazy hours. Are you still working on calls like crazy hours?
I mean, what's crazy hours though?
I see the stories like 3 monsters a day, a couple cans of Zin or whatever.
I mean, I'm cooking like 16-hour days, 4 days a week. That 16 by 4 says,
Yeah, you don't work Fridays though, right?
I do Fridays, but it's like admin work. So I don't book any calls on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I typically split those into half days. So maybe Friday morning, I'll go golfing. Friday night, I'll get some work done. And then maybe Saturday morning, I'll wake up and get more work done. And then Saturday night, I'll have dinner with the boys. So I kind of split those usually into half days. But I've been doing the 4 days ever since I've been in the space 6 years. Like I was a high ticket closer. I was only working 4 days a week. So Friday morning, I'd get on the team meeting, say I'd go jet skiing, boat it up, whatever. But like it was hard for them to say anything to me because my numbers were double, triple almost everyone else's every month.
Yeah.
In 4 days, I'm like Chick-fil-A, dude. I don't have to be open every day.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes sense.
Look, I'll preface this. I have no wife. I have no kids. Like I have no responsibility besides like myself and my business. My assistant takes care of my cooking, cleaning, laundry, changes the cat's litter box. So like my whole personal life is kind of optimized. Mm-hmm. So I have the energy and the time to put into the business. And I genuinely love working. So I do like 12 to 16 hours Monday to Thursday. And then however I want to structure Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That house that you were building that you couldn't afford at the time, is it the one you live in now? Yeah. You can afford it?
And now I'm buying one that's even more expensive 3 doors down next week.
Nice.
I'll rent that one out.
Nice. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit, like client acquisition for people watching, a lot of salespeople, some business owners, but mostly people watching are people who are responsible for generating revenue. We talked a little bit earlier about how paid ads, they work. I'm not saying they don't work, but they're difficult in what we do. But you've done a lot of like unique ways to acquire clients, from like banging the contact list on your phone to like running like JV/partnerships. And when I met you last year, you were kind of describing to me like one of these ways that you scaled from 0 to 6 figures a month through like a partnership deal. Would you mind like sharing a little bit about how that came to mind, how you structured that, and then ultimately like, where that led you to today?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out Jeremy Pogue. You worked with him a couple of years ago?
I did. 23. Yeah.
That's sick. So you're before me. But yeah, I mean, to make a long story short, what happened was I went to my buddy's surprise birthday party. There was an old fraternity brother there. He was asking how I'm doing. I said, I'm living in St. Pete, waiting for my house to get done being built. I'm an online coach. He's like, oh, dude, you have to connect with my buddy. He's like a family friend. I've known him forever. And he shows me this dude's Instagram. He's got like 300 followers and like 4 posts. And I'm like, sick, super impressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just took a photo of it and I was like, yeah, I'll connect with him for sure. And I'm like, I'm never connecting with this guy. And I go home and like a couple weeks later, I'm going through the photos on my phone and I see the photo of it. And I'm like, well, dude, I got like 4 clients. I'm sitting around with nothing to do. Like nothing bad can happen from reaching out to this guy. Super cool guy. We get on a Zoom call. We start chatting. He's like, dude, like, why aren't you doing $100,000 a month yet? And I'm like, first of all, just launched. Second of all, I just need leads. I just need marketing. Once I have the marketing, I can do everything else. He goes, well, dude, if you need marketing, you got to work with my client, Jeremy. And he shows me Jeremy's wins channel. And I saw one of my clients from the old company that we did like the cross-sell sales coaching thing. And she was in there. And so I hit her up and she's like, oh, I just joined. He's awesome. So I got on a sales call with Jeremy. At the time, he was $8,000. I was like, dude, I got to put this on a payment plan. Like, I'm bad. I'm trying to like save cash for this house.
Yeah.
And he gave me the payment plan and got started with him. Started helping me with some ads and stuff like that. But one random guy, Lee, reaches out to me in his Slack community. And he goes, hey, man, I saw you just got announced in the welcome channel. I see you're a sales coach. I think I have a sales problem. And I was like, okay, well, if you have a sales problem, I know a guy that can fix it. It's me. I was like, let's get on a call, and I closed Lee for $9,000. And I'm a smart enough entrepreneur to know that I should say thank you in some way of compensation to Jeremy. So I reached out to Jeremy and I was like, hey man, this guy Lee out of your community just hired me. I hope that's cool. I know you don't teach sales, but like I wanted to pay you. And he's like, oh dude, appreciate that. Like not a problem. Like Lee's the man, change his life. I raised his price by $1,500 and I took his close rate from 18% to 45%. So basically almost tripled it.
It's wild.
In like a month. And everyone else in the community saw his wins in the channel and then started hitting him up like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how are you just scaling out of nowhere? He's like, dude, I just hired the guy with the mustache. So then other people started hitting me up and I did this like 3, 4, 5 times and the whole wins channel became those 3, 4, 5 people. Jeremy saw what was happening and he hit me up and he's like, dude, like you're obviously really good at sales. How much would it cost me for you to coach all of my clients in sales? And I was like, let's get on a call and talk about it. I'm a sales guy. So I sold him. And it's like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a weekly group call for you every single week forever. And I'm just going to give them everything I know and treat them like they're my own clients for free. And anytime one of them choose to hire me on the side, I said, I'll never pitch my program. I'll never tell them to follow me. I'm just going to pour into them, law of reciprocity, pour into them as if they've paid me $1 million. And every time one of them hires me, I will pay you a referral commission uncapped. And so that's what we did. And that is the single best client acquisition system that I've had. And I mean, dude, I owe Jeremy a lot for that. I mean, we looked when we were in Miami together. We've done retreats together now. We've gone snowboarding together now. We've built a really, really good like relationship in and outside of business. But we were in Miami and we looked and I've paid him over 6 figures in referral commissions. And I'm happy to do it. I'm like, dude, run my card. This person just hired me. There's been weeks where he's like ran my card for like 10, 12K in a week.
And that's like a little over a year.
January or February of 24. So we're probably at like 15 months now. Yeah. I made 700K last year from that. Just that's that one acquisition channel alone. And that's just top line revenue, not profit.
Right.
I think it was 700K. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like I'm always interested in learning like how certain people do things differently to get the outcome they're going for. When you told me that, I had never heard that before. Still to this day, I don't know anyone else who
I didn't
does
do it
it
on purpose. I got lucky. Like it's not like I wish I was smart enough to say that was my strategy, but it just happened to be.
Have you tried to like replicate that with other groups?
I have. Yeah. And I haven't replicated it to that degree, but I have come into multiple groups on multiple occasions. Like I just did this with AR Funnel with like Mike and Baker. I just did this with my buddy Devin, who helps people get on podcasts. I've done it with Matt Shiver. We were talking about off camera. Like I've done it, but it's like a one-off thing. And I'm like, hey, let me just come in for an hour and just drop as much value as I can stack into 1 hour. It'll make your program more valuable because you don't teach sales. And then it'll give me some front-facing eyeballs. And if any of your clients want to hire me, I'm happy to pay you for it. And that's worked to some degree. But I think the reason it works so well with Jeremy is because he's teaching marketing. So these people are coming to him with a marketing problem, meaning they're disqualified to work with me. Because I only work with people that have at least 10, 15 sales calls a month on their calendar, and they're hiring him because they don't. The day they start getting leads, they now enter into my TAM. They become an ideal client for me. And because I've already been giving value for weeks, some of them months, by the time they crack the marketing, I'm already so ingrained and they already have made up their mind. Like, dude, I have to work with this guy. They start getting leads and then it just goes from there. So I think that's why it works so well. Rather than coming in and just doing like a one-time, one-off thing, there's not really that relationship, which has been forged over time inside of his community.
It's way different too on like when you're trying to take that kind of offer to paid ads, like maybe if you were taking it at like 5K, it's a little bit more digestible for a cold audience,
It's not
but
price though. I can't even get the calls booked. And
yeah,
do you know Zach Colburn?
the name is familiar.
So he's pretty big in the space. He teaches ads to fitness coaches mainly. He explained to me in 12 seconds why the offer doesn't scale well on paid ads. And he basically said the TAM is small because there's only so many online coaches that are getting 10 to 15 calls a month booked. And not only is the TAM small, but it's a short window. He said as soon as somebody starts getting leads, there's a 6 to 12 month timer where they don't want to take the calls anymore. If they're good at sales or bad at sales, either way, they only want to do it for 6 to 12 months. Then they want to hire on a closer. So not only is it a small TAM, but it's a short-lived TAM where the day they get leads, it's a ticking time bomb, 6 to 12 months. They want to get off the phones. That's what he explained. It made so much sense to me because day one that they get leads with Jeremy, that ticking time bomb starts. But because it's so fresh and I already have that relationship, they pretty much always hire me. Where other people who see a paid ad, they're like, dude, even if I got better at sales, like I'm so tired of sales, like I'd rather just sell from stage or sell from a pre-recorded webinar or hire a closer. Or like maybe I'll do a low ticket funnel. Like that's why those companies blew up like a year or two ago. It's like sell by chat, sell by chat. It's like, I mean, look, call me crazy, but I don't think the majority of people are going to sell a 10, 15, 20K program through chat. Possible? Yes. But is the majority of people going to do it? No. People are just looking for a shortcut to not have to take sales calls.
Everyone wants to run the Dan Martell or Wes Watson funnel where it's just like through the DMs, 20K piff, don't even get on a call with them.
When they have a question, they're like, just go watch more of my content.
Yeah, you have to realize like you're not Dan Martell or Wes Watson, like you're this dude with 2,000 followers who has a six-pack, I wanted to go to this because I've been thinking about it since you mentioned it. You took this guy from 18% to 45 or 42, and he's posting about it. Obviously, you know what you're talking about with sales, but how much of you having this guy or like having these people go through these like pretty awesome transformations is like actual sales ability versus just like refining the qualification on their funnel and like the throughput of the leads?
All of it, yes.
Like you have to do all of it, right?
For everyone's different, right? Some people come to me and that's already dialed. They just lack in sales. Some people come to me and sales is dialed, but they lack in mindset. So they self-sabotage their own calls. Some people come to me and they have no qualifications, no reminder emails. Like they don't have any CRMs, any systems. So it's a more of a complete transformation and overhaul. But that's why my program, it's so customized based on who I'm working with, right? If their close rate is already high, I mean, if we take it from 60 to like 70, is that good? Yeah, but there's probably bigger needles we can move. Maybe your close rate is high because your price is too low. Yeah. So then I have to get into the psychology of raising their price. Are we going to just go straight to the price we want to charge, or are we going to stair step it over time? Enroll 3 people, bump it another 500, enroll 3 people, stuff like that. Yeah. Everyone's a little different. Like I had this girl, Rachel, hire me. She was hard stuck at 20, maybe on a good month, 30K for years and years and years. Her biggest thing was the 2-call close was not working for her because of the way that she was doing it. So I revamped just the process to go to a 1-call close and fleshed her out a better framework, a better script that she could feel confident using. Well, she started crushing it. Business started growing. Then it came down to, okay, I need more leads. I put her in touch with an ads agency that I trust very dearly. They actually live here in Austin. So we solved one bottleneck. Okay, it's sales. Then it's like, I need more leads. We solved that bottleneck with the agency. It's like, now I need closers. And then I gave her 3 closers, 2 of which I've trained for years at past companies that have worked on these various offers that have helped me scale underneath me. So I know they're good. She texted me last week and said, hey, we're at 200K cash right now. She went from 20K to 200K cash in like, I think it was like 6 or 8 months ago. She hired me, identifying then solving strategically the bottlenecks that these business owners have. And I think that's a gift that I have. Like I can bottleneck identify at rapid pace. I can come up with a creative and strategic solution to solve that bottleneck as close to identification point as possible. That way they can just keep scaling without getting stuck. She texts me all the time and she's like, dude, like this is insane. This is what I've dreamt of for so long.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah.
What's the most difficult offer that you've had to crack sales for? Not the most difficult offer, but like the most difficult time that you've had refining a sales process? And then what was it that you did to make it work for that client?
Anyone in the very creative space is tough because not of their offer, but because of the prospects. So when you're a very creative space, right? Like I have a client, Dan, who's actually coming out here he's been in Mexico for the past month, building his offer, doing his thing. He's coming out. I'll meet him in person later today. He helps wedding musicians get into like more weddings, more events, more gigs, right? But they're musicians, so they're super creative. The prospects who are creative tend to ramble, tend to want to share their life story. And so I kept telling Dan what to do. And one day I was like, Dan, I'm tired of telling you what to do. Give me one of your sales calls and I will show you what to do. and just for free, just took one of his sales calls for him. Just, it was kind of a 2-call because I didn't want to learn the whole offer and like do a whole pitch, but I did rapport, frame, pain, and then a really deep discovery. The guy was trying to ramble. I'm like cutting him off. I'm shaping the conversation. And then I handed it back to Dan. I was like, this is how you do it. And he was like, dude, that changes the game. Like, that's helped me tremendously, showing him how to shape these creative people without them thinking, oh, you're super masculine, you're mean, you're cutting me off, you're not letting me like get into flow state and talk. So I think those offers, I've probably done 4 or 5 of those: cameras, music, videography, instruments, just anything like that, like the creative arts kind of clients, especially in the B2C space. It's a little tricky.
And high ticket too, because a lot of those people are like, they're not rolling in it necessarily,
Yeah, there's a lot of money objections, which I don't really 99% of the time think's a real objection, because like, I don't have 5K. It's like, great, gun to your wife's head, you have 5K now? And they're like, yeah, let me go get it. Like, if they see the value, they will buy, but it's helping those people to stop talking so they can actually get the meat and potatoes of the call that's important, so they can see the value. If they ramble for 45 minutes, you don't have enough time to do a clean, good pitch. So then they don't even know what they're buying. And then it turns into a therapy session.
When it comes to objections, you just said money objection, potentially not real.
Unless you just got out of prison, you have no credit score, social security number. Like, I think if you live in America, like, you could probably come up with 5K if your life depended on it.
Yeah, no, I've been in the position when I was in college of like wanting to invest in programs, and I remember like e-commerce, drop shipping. I was trying to do e-com, and it was like a $3,000 program, and I was determined to get the money. Like, I was calling people I know. I never did the program because I didn't have the money to operate the thing after, but like, I had basically found a way to go from maybe $1,000 to like have the money, payment plan, like work it out with them because I wanted it.
Because you saw the value in it.
Exactly. And I spoke to the guy for like, we had a sales call that kind of reminds me of the process that you're talking about, where dude was just talking to me, like, and I felt heard, I felt understood, and I was ready to like make it happen. I spoke to someone a while back on a different podcast, really good sales guy. I'm not sure if you know him or not, so I'm not going to name drop, but he said the only real objection is a trust objection. What do you think about that?
There could be legitimate like time objections. Here's what I would say. The only real objections are the ones that they reveal to you in discovery ahead of time. Those are real objections. If I clear that in discovery and you give me an objection at the end of the call, I will burn that call to the ground before I book a follow-up call with you, just to have you no show and waste more time on my calendar. Like, if in discovery they say, hey, full transparency, I got to chat with my wife. We don't make decisions. It's something we've been doing for 20 years together. It's just something we don't do. And he tells me that ahead of time, before he knows the price, before he's heard the pitch, before anything. And he's open and honest and transparent with me. I'm not going to push him to make a decision. I'm not even going to pitch him, because I'm going to book a follow-up call with the wife. If they tell me timing, like, I'm a fitness coach and they're like, hey, I go to Europe and I just want to eat like shit and be a fat fuck for a month in Europe. There's nothing I want to do with fitness. This is going to be my last hurrah, and then I'm going to get my shit together when I come home. I'm not going to be like, hey man, you shouldn't do that. Like, his mind is already made up, and I can tell him why it's a bad idea. But if I keep forcing the envelope when he's already told me this is his timeline, it's just going to lose the sale. So if they reveal it ahead of time, I can live with that. Like, when I paid to get booked on a bunch of different stuff, I told the guy ahead of time, I was like, hey, I have 2 calls. You're more than welcome to move your call to be the last conversation I have. And if it's you that I'm going to go with, you can 1 call close me. But I'm a sales guy. I don't want to waste your time. I'm just telling you, like, I'm not going to buy on the call. And if you want to move our call, I'm happy to do that. And we got to the end of the call. He didn't try and like force the envelope. And if he did, I'd be like, dude, I already told you I wasn't buying on this call. Like, I was honest about it. So if it comes up ahead of time, I think it is a real objection. Doesn't mean you can't handle it. Doesn't mean there's nothing you can do about it. I just think that makes it real. But if they clear it and then bring it up later, it's not a real objection.
So the way that you go about handling these objections or potential smoke screens, is it different based on who this person is and what they've achieved? Like, for example, the B2C side of things, you're selling to salespeople. They've had some success. They think they're doing all right, but they're really not in the grand scheme of things, versus like maybe the business owner who's doing $200,000 a month. Like, are you kind of going through this process differently with people based on where they're at?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's a little bit different. Business owners typically ROI play. It's like, dude, if you just bump close rate by this times by your price and your calls, here's the money you'll make. Like, we will bump your close rate to this number. Like, that's pretty simple. Where some prospects are maybe a little bit more emotional, you have to reframe them. Maybe they've never been on a sales call before and they have limiting beliefs. You kind of have to do some more like work around reframes and analogies and things like that. Some people, they're like, I need to talk to my wife. And I'm just like, no, you don't. I'm just like, you don't though. And then I go hard, right? If I was selling a fitness offer, I'd be such a savage. Like, You need to ask your wife for permission to look better, have more energy, be performing better in the bedroom, have more energy for your kids. Like, it's like, oh, well, dude, like we always make decisions together. I'm like, dude, you made a decision on the altar to be the man. That's who she signed up for. And that's not who you are now 10 years later. So like, you're already being a shitty husband. You're already being a shitty parent. Like, you're already being shit. He's like, well, she's going to kill me if I do this. She's like, dude, she's going to kill you and divorce you if you don't.
Yeah.
So like with that, I go super hard, where maybe not every offer I do, it depends on is the prospect masculine or feminine. Some people you can just look at it and be like, no. Other people you got to reframe, so there's different strategies based on how the rest of the call has gone up until that point.
What are 3 things you've worked with all these coaches, all these different niches, levels of success, or people who are brand new? What are 3 things that the average business owner or sales rep are probably doing wrong that if they changed, they would likely see like an uptick in numbers, performance, all that?
Let's see if I can come up with 3 good ones. First one would be top of the mind, 100%. People have this weird illusion that in sales, you need to be liked for people to buy from you. They think, oh, if they like me, they'll buy from me. Sales is a rapport. Sales is a relationship business, and it's not. People don't need to like you. They need to trust you. Half the clients flying out here from all over the world in Texas have told me at multiple points throughout our relationship together, yeah, when I hired you, I didn't even like you. And I'm like, great, why'd you hire me? I know the answer. And because I trusted that you would get me results and tell me the truth. People need to trust you, not like you, in order to buy from you. That's why when I get on a call, rapport is very short, very sweet, to the point. Like, I'm not sitting there for 12 minutes talking about dogs and cats and the weather. Yeah. I don't care. You don't care. The sooner I can get to your problems and how I can help you solve them, the better. So that's number one. People think they need to be liked, not trusted. Now, I'm not saying you have to be an asshole, but you need to be neutral and direct and like, let's get into them and start asking them questions about them. They don't care where you live. They don't care how your day is going. So why do I want to sit there and waste time on things that they don't care about? It doesn't move the sale forward. Number 2, people are afraid to be pushy, salesy, insert pressure, hold people's feet to the fire, which in my opinion makes them a shitty coach, makes them a shitty sales rep, because you should only be selling your program, product, or service if you're 100% confident that that is the best fit for the person that you're pitching it and presenting it to, right? If it's not a good fit, why are we trying to sell them our stuff? So we've already made up our mind to pitch them our stuff that this is the best fit for them. Then when they have objections, which are common, people are fearful, they don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars, whatever. They're natural. It happens. It's your job to go to war and hold them accountable and get them to buy the program, knowing it will shape and change the trajectory of their life. And I think you're a shitty coach and a bad human if you don't do that. I don't care about being pushy. I don't care what people think of me, dude. I have a mustache and drive an orange McLaren. Like, you think people love me and like, oh, dude, what a great guy. But when you sit with me for 12 seconds, you understand that I actually have a heart and I care about people. And if I'm in sales, knowing that it is service and it's my job and duty and responsibility to serve people by selling them whatever it is I'm selling because I've confirmed that it's a good fit, I carry that weight on my shoulders. And I can't sleep at night knowing that I'm leaving a bunch of people who need my help stuck where they're at. So if you're a coach, you have a program that can change someone's life, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to be salesy. I think that you're selfish. I think you're in the wrong fucking business. I think that these people need to be told the truth, because if they had someone in their life to tell them the truth, they wouldn't be 187 pounds overweight. They need you. And if you can step up and step out for them, it's probably the first time in their entire fucking life someone's done that for them. And you owe it to that prospect to do that for them. So I don't care about perception. I care about changing people's life. And they will always thank me later. So how I explain this, you can stay broke and be liked. However, those people that like you today are going to hate you tomorrow because they want the help and you didn't hold them accountable and get them out of their own way. So you're going to be broke because you don't close any sales. You're going to be temporarily liked, but you're going to be hated long term. Or we can get rich now and be loved forever. Because if you're actually good at whatever it is you sell, if you have good client success or you're a good coach, they're going to love you, dude. They're going to send you Christmas cards. They're going to travel from all over the world to come spend time with you. They're going to thank you over and over and over and over again for getting them out of their own way and closing them. So you owe it to those people. That make sense?
Yeah. No, it does.
And then you wanted a third one, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, those were already real good, but
yeah, I mean,
if you have a third one.
We can wrap on 2. I mean, those are the biggest. And the interesting thing about those 2 that I chose, one is at the very beginning of the call, like how the call starts, being super friendly. And then one is at the very end. And it's a common thread that runs top to bottom throughout that hour-long sales call. They start super friendly, which means if they do have some masculinity and handle objections at the end of the call, it's wildly incongruent with how the rest of the call went. And then there's this weird energy in the room where they're like, dude, I thought you were my friend. Like, I thought we were just having a great conversation and now you're kind of holding me accountable. Yeah. That's why their objection handling doesn't work and comes off as super salesy and inauthentic. Where if I'm neutral to start the call and I'm neutral throughout the entire call, Then when we get to the end of the call, it's right on brand with how I've already acted and talked for the rest of the call. So it's congruent and makes sense.
When you're going to spend an hour with a prospect and you're going to go into a 20, 30-minute discovery, what do you do right now? And what do you advise your clients to do on the like qualification side to make sure that you're not talking to someone that literally is going to waste your time because you said money objection, potentially fake here, but like, what kind of pre-qualification are you doing on that front to make sure that this person is even possible to, or it's possible for that person to work for you if you let them know that this is good for them?
I mean, first question on any calendar, a routing form or whatever, it's like, are you the human I help? Like for me, it's like, are you an online coach on that side, B2B, or are you a sales rep looking to make a transition? Because if you're not, you're not my person. From there, I deeper qualify. Just because you're an online coach, I want to make sure that you have enough sales calls. If you have a marketing problem and 0 sales calls, like your money's probably spent elsewhere. Like you don't have a problem for me to solve today. You might suck at sales, but you don't even have a chance to practice it because you have no calls. So it's like, how many calls are you booking? Then I want to make sure they're high ticket. So I go layer deeper. Okay, what's the price point of your offer or offers? And then I want to know close rate, because if their close rate's 100%, they don't have a problem. Well, again, that's a waste of time. So I'm just asking questions to identify, is this even someone I could help if I so choose to? But when you start making over 6 figures a month in profit, cash in my pocket, I'm very fortunate and blessed. I don't have to help everyone. So I just want to know on paper, are you someone I could help? And then I use the sales call to determine, do I want to help you? Are we going to get along? Are we going to enjoy our time together? Because time's our most valuable asset and I don't need the money. So it's like, if I'm not going to enjoy my time with you, I'm not taking your money.
Yeah. So you're not asking them how much they're currently making?
I kind of know. How many calls do you take? What's your price? What's your close rate? I can do math.
Okay.
But even if they were making $3,000 a month, like I can still close them, figure it out. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit holistically to kind of round this out. So again, salespeople and business owners watching this podcast because of sales, like our intention is to show people like, look, if you figure out how to do sales well, it can create you your dream life without being like your entire life, like some soul sucking thing. It can create leverage and freedom.
Dude, I worked 4 days a week, was making 20, 30 grand a month. I was jet skiing, boating 2-3 times a week, golfing, like sitting, taking high ticket sales calls. Like high ticket sales calls, the greatest opportunity on planet Earth. And it got radically accelerated with COVID because everybody wants to work from home. And not only that, but prospects are more open to spending high ticket dollars over Zoom than ever before. So it's like, if you're not doing that, like you don't have to be a business owner. I don't care. But you should be a high ticket closer if you want to make $8, $10, $15, $20,000 a month or more working from home.
So it's safe to say if you had never gotten into sales and then making a business around sales, you'd probably, you're a smart guy. You'd probably figure something else out, but your life would probably look a little bit different. It would probably look a lot different. And when I say like your life because of sales, like what comes to mind? Like as far as like what you've been able to do because you learned that skill set and applied it and learned other skill sets.
Dude, like it's insane. Like I have time freedom, money freedom, location freedom. Like it's like when I was growing up and I was like 6, 7, 8, and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're like firefighter, police officer, whatever. And I was like free. And they're like, no, like it's a job. I'm like, I don't know what the job's going to be. I just want freedom. And I don't know why. Like ever since I was like this tall, I just wanted freedom. I don't know why I just valued freedom so much. Maybe it's how I was born and raised. I don't know, but I've always wanted to be free. And I never had a vehicle that could give me, when freedom is different for everyone. Some people make 10 grand a month and they're financially free, right? But my dad always told me, it's like, figure out what you want in life. You want yachts and jets and supercars? Great, you can have it. You want a little house on the prairie and a small family and a dog? You can have it. You got to figure out what you want first and then reverse engineer a way to make enough money to go get it. But you don't want to make enough money where you have no time to enjoy it. So I always knew time freedom and money freedom I had to have. Never had the vehicle, got introduced to remote high ticket sales. That's where I could have both. Time freedom, money freedom, location freedom, even though I don't like to travel that much. Like it's nice to know I could if I wanted. And that's the vehicle that provided it. But I had to get good. It wasn't handed to me. I had to take 7,000 calls, had to eat shit for a long time, had to have the craziest objections you've ever heard thrown at me, like had to have no shows and bad prospects. Like I had to eat shit to figure it out and do it. It's not perfect. Nothing is, but I've never seen a vehicle like it.
What's the plan with closesales.com? Like what's the vision over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, if you plan on running it for that long?
Yeah, we'll keep the B2B probably around like $250,000 a month. Let that hang out, $250,000 in cash. It's kind of like my passion project. Like I'm doing all the coaching and like doing everything there. And then the B2C is infinitely scalable because the TAM is so much bigger and I can hire staff to help out with that. So ideally we get that to match at the $250,000 a month. It's a little bit less profitable with the team, but it's something that I can not be involved in every minute of every day. So it's scalable and sellable if we got to that point. And then we just keep ramping that thing up. B2B is passionate, exciting, keeps me busy, love helping people directly. doing retreats and things like that, and then just aggressively scaling the B2C to introduce more people to the opportunity.
Are you just running it up because you love the game, or is there something big that you're shooting for, like in your life, that this is prepping you for?
I just love to work, dude. Like people are like, dude, why don't you take a month off and travel? I'm like, dude, I'll lose my mind 3 days in. Like, I love work. Like, I love nothing more than clocking long hours. I mean, you see my stories, right? It's like I'm in bed at 1 and then I'm up at 5. It's like, great, gym, work all day. Like, I just love it.
Yeah.
And I don't work out of scarcity or desperation. Like, I have enough money in the bank where I could go fuck off for 3 years and probably buy another supercar or 2 in the process and be just fine. So it's not out of scarcity or because I need it or because I want to be a billionaire or something crazy. Like, I just want my freedom. And right now, I have freedom. And what do I want to do with it? I want to work.
Yeah.
Like, I just love working. That's when you're like, dude, let's do a podcast while you're in town. Like, most people are like, dude, I'm in town for a retreat. I'm trying to hang out with my clients and sit by the pool and drink a Corona. I'm like, dude, podcast, I'm in. Like, absolutely, let's make it happen. I just love working, put myself out there, and money gets old anyway, dude. It gets so old so quick. Helping people never will. When people look at you and they're like, dude, you changed my life. You changed my family's life. You helped me become a better father. You helped me make this money, which I then invested into this thing and did all these cool stuff. Like, dude, that doesn't get old ever, and it never will. So I think that's what I'm chasing. I'm just chasing helping more people, having a bigger impact on the world. Like, that helps me sleep good at night.
Yeah, dude. This is a newer podcast. This is going to be one of the first 10, and this is like my big thing, the newsletter, podcast, media company. And I have a feeling that so far, I think this is the most like in-depth like sales strategy one that we've done. I have a feeling that you'll be glad you did this, because
That's it.
you know you're going to help a lot of people by being one of the first 10 here. Last thing, where do people find you if they want to connect with you, if they want to work with you?
If you want like short form sales content, that's on Instagram. It's at the Austin Medlin. And then if you want longer form stuff, I think today I have like 70, 75 videos or something like that on YouTube. That's just at Austin Medlin. And so shorter form, Instagram stories, do sheer stuff, flexing the McLaren sometimes, hanging out, running around town, gym at 6 a.m. And then YouTube is the more like pre-planned, thought out, longer form. Like, dude, I have so many hours of like call reviews up there, sales strategy, objection handling, like speeches that I've done at different events. Like there's a lot of really, really good stuff on the YouTube channel as well.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming, taking the time out of your retreat. How long are you here for?
I fly out Sunday morning.
Okay.
After I had breakfast with Alaric.
Okay, cool. So you're here for a little bit. We didn't even say it in this podcast. He's here. We said you're here from Tampa, but you have 31 of your clients here in Austin. You do a few of these retreats a year. You sell them out every time. And that's just a testament to the work this guy does and how he's actually changing lives.
Until you see the one in November.
Where is it at? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah. We'll fly into Miami.
Okay.
Sleep at a sick Airbnb. Wake up in the morning, hop on a massive yacht. Take that yacht over to the Bahamas, stay in the Bahamas for 3 days, and then hop on a private jet back home. So that's going to be limited at 10 people because obviously it's limited space on the boat and the plane.
Yeah.
I sent out a couple texts, couple Slack messages, and sold 3 tickets in like 2 days. That'll be capped at 10, first come, first serve. But that's going to be smaller, like bigger, like kind of bigger in terms of the stuff we're doing, but smaller in terms of like intimacy and people. But yeah, I sell these out in like days, dude. It's like people just want to come spend time with each other and hang out. And I think they get more value from each other than they do from me. Having these siloed conversations with each other, like sitting in a multi-million-dollar mansion, private chef taking care of us, water slide, DJ, boats, like it's as much a vacation as like a business mastermind. There's just an ungodly amount of value that these people are getting from coming. So a lot of fun too.
You can always tell a lot about how good someone is at what they do by when they host in-person events. Do people actually go to them? How fast do they sell out, if they sell out? And was it good enough to where they do it again and again and again?
And I break even on all of them. I've yet to make $1 on a retreat.
I think that's pretty normal. Like you make
I do it on purpose to keep the costs low. Like I could just raise the price and everyone would pay it, but I want to keep costs low just to break even and throw a kick-ass time for everybody there and like have again impact. Right? I just want to keep the impact going.
Yeah.
And I don't need to like squeeze my clients for as many dollars as I can. It's like let's just reinvest all of this to do as much cool stuff as humanly possible.
It comes back around,
Sure it does.
Well, anyways, you guys, thank you for watching Because of Sales. I don't know what episode this is, but this is one of the first 10. We've got Austin in. Go follow this guy. He knows his stuff, as you could tell. And dude, thank you for coming on.
Dude, appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.